Welcome back. Today I will be talking about Bookish Boyfriends, A Date with Darcy by Tiffany Schmidt. So this book I read in paperback form, so it was a nice change from what I read My Life with the Walter Boys, which was on my Kindle. I do like to keep the balance between real physical books and electronic books on my Kindle. So Bookish Boyfriends is about a girl named Marilee. She loves to read. She reads all the time. Everyone in her family knows how much she reads and they talk about how much she reads. Her favorite thing to say is, boys are better in books. So this school year, she is starting at a new school, and the new school is co-ed. Her previous school was not, and so this is a very new experience for her, where she's getting to be around boys in real life. And so this is a huge change, and she is immediately taken aback by a boy named Monroe. And Monroe is a mysterious boy who she wants to get to know more. She also meets an English teacher that she absolutely loves. It's very fitting for her because she loves to read, and this English teacher loves to read also. She starts to feel, though, Marilee starts to feel that this English teacher may be putting magic on her to make her become the characters in the books they're reading in class. So the first book they read in class is Romeo and Juliet, and she is adamant about the fact that her teacher made her become Juliet, and Monroe is Romeo. So while she's experiencing the reading of Romeo and Juliet, she's experiencing it all in real life, she thinks, by Monroe doing super extravagant things, climbing on her balcony, being very romantic and all of these things, and she gets so caught up in it, and it's a whirlwind of her thinking that she's Juliet. So throughout the book, she thinks that she becomes the characters in the books they read throughout their school, and she has to navigate that experience. At the end of the book, we get to find out, does she still think that boys are better in books, or has she come around to a different point of view and think that maybe boys are better in real life? So if you decide to read the book, you'll get to find out as well. So Bookish Boyfriends was not my favorite book. It was my first time reading it, so that's always a different experience than a reread is for me. But so my first read of it was a little bit too fantasy, I guess, and it was very minorly fantasy, with just the fact that she thought that she was the character in the books that she was reading and that some magical thing was making that happen. But it just wasn't believable enough for me. I didn't get behind it as I wanted to. I felt like it wasn't connecting for me. Another thing that I didn't particularly like about it was that I felt like so much time was passing in the book, but nothing was happening. So it would just be like, oh my gosh, we're already this far in the school year, but then, like, has anything happened yet? And that was a bit of a turnoff for me as well. So I didn't connect to it, and I didn't love it as much as some other books that I read. Most other books, I like most of the books I read, but this one just didn't quite do it for me. There were a lot of good things about it, though. There were tons of good descriptions, and I could just visualize things. And Marilee is a very smart girl, and so she speaks very smartly, and there's tons of good word choice, creativity. So it was very well written, a very smooth read. It just wasn't, the context or the content of the book wasn't exactly what I was hoping for. So I would recommend the book just because it was so well written, in my opinion, and it was a good story. I just prefer something a little bit more realistic and something that I can 100% get behind, of like, that's going to happen in real life, maybe. And this, I just couldn't, because of that magical aspect of perhaps she's becoming the characters in the books. So that was the biggest turnoff for me, I suppose. But overall, I would recommend it just because it was good, but I didn't love the book. So thank you so much for tuning in this week, and I hope that you'll join me next week for my next book.